So, ladies and gentlemen, to commence today's summit, I would like to invite upon stage Dr. Arun Singh, Global Chief Economist of Dun & Bradstreet, to deliver his session on India's financial landscape, the current state and future imperatives. May we have you on stage, sir?
Good evening, everyone. It's slightly now post lunch. You can understand everyone's feeling sleepy. So, good evening. It's a wonderful day. I know just Tuesday, and I'm sure that everybody had a fun reaching here. Uh, if I talk about financial landscape today, I was just talking to Chanat today, and you know, uh, I think everyone heard or maybe speaking or talking about uh, one single word. I think government is very, very proactive about using that term, what we call the Amrit Kal. And this Amrit Kal is speaking about next 25 years till 2047. That's 100 years of independence. And India have a target to be a more than 30 trillion economy uh, by then, more than that, and could be the slightly higher than that number. But to achieve 30 trillion economy dollar, what we need today, I think all of you are aware, and that one single ingredient input is required. That's the need of the R is the capital. We need a capital. Without capital, I think this journey will not be easy. And I think everyone is aware of that part because we just released one paper few weeks back where we spoke about we need to generate 231 million jobs next what we call 25 years till 2047. For that, we need 18 trillion investment. And today, if I talk about foreign investment, if I talk about it's just 1 trillion we got since liberalization. So we need the money, we need a fund, and I think entire nation is looking up to all of you how we basically resolve this capital problem. So this we're trying to have some, uh, I'm just trying to present some facts which basically talks about how we are doing last few years, where we have basically putting money and what is the way forward look like. If I have to basically talk about finance, the money, the capital, I think finance is a pivotal role. It is very critical. It's a very important when we talk about the economic development. And that's a history. I think if I have to go back century, decade, I mean there are many years. Sometime this earlier we were doing research on the 5,000 or 6,000 year old, but I basically restrict to the uh, near past, which we can basically relate, find out. Finance is very critical for economic growth, and I think that's we can talk about how England basically established the legal interest rate when they wanted to expand beyond the geography. When they wanted to do the trade, they basically formed the legal interest rate. And few years later, we had modern consumer credit bond because some of the tailors in the UK they collaborated to share some of the delinquencies information, and that's basically given rise to the modern credit, modern consumer credit. And that's the same time around 1841 when we started the modern consumer credit, and then world started about the modern consumer credit. DNB was formed 1841, which means we are very much close sync with what we call about the modern consumer credit era. And in fact, when I talk about the industrial revolution, all the countries who done the wonderful job in terms of leveraging the industrial revolution and they gain what we call from a seventh rank to the first rank, or they grew their capital formation was great. in the country. In fact, out of 100 factor of production, if I have to talk about, capital was around 45%. It used to be 27% in 1770, but by 1850 or 1860, the capital they have used out of 100 factor of production was 45, and rest is land and labor. Look at the jump. 27 percentage point jump we have seen in the capital they have used for their you know, factor of production when they were part of industrial revolution, which means any country want to make a good impact on the industrial revolution, you need the capital, and that's basically they have done. They have shown this. Few years later, I think General Motor everyone talk about they started installment, and then again that was the push on the lending boom to the consumer credit, and today democratization of the credit actually has given a hope how we can touch the underserved, unserved, and the remote area, and I think that's what's happening. And that brings to what the subject basically we are going to talk about is the fintech. I think fintech, I mean, they are leveraging the technology. They're reaching out to masses, they're reaching out to remote areas, they're basically serving the underserved and unserved masses. There are many positives. I don't want to talk about them. And everyone is aware because they can create the economy, they can create the new opportunities, they are creating the shared economy, they are basically creating the multiplier impact on the employment, they are transforming the business, the productivity, everything, all the good information about the fintech. I think you all know. But what is important, the critical at this point of time, look at this chart. The fintech funding in the country, the second, just after the and the fintech startup, they are the number third country in the world. And the fintech market size, again, they are number third country globally. And the fintech unicorns, they are number fourth. These are the basically some of the facts on the fintech in India. The second, third, and fourth in the global economy. We have achieved this thing not more than last 10 years. In the 10 years, we have that's a great development you can see. Now, when I talk about public digital infrastructure, in the country is so mature, in fact, mature than most of the developed countries on the planet. And the data standardization and data sharing, what we have, that offers great opportunity for us to leverage, to extract something around 16 to 70% of the value from the entire ecosystem. The next country talk about the UK, they are half in terms of extracting those values. It means on the system which we created, that frictionless connected to other platform exchanging data is so great, so seamless that we are set to extract the value from this 60 to 70%. Why I'm talking about, if I have to speak some of the number, look at the credit history. 20% of thin file can become a thick file, and everyone aware about thin file. We have a 99% reduction in the verification cost using this technology. We have 5% increase in the predictive power of the bankrupt or delinquent account. 130 basis point increase in the credit to GDP ratio, and 4 to 5% point increase in the actual GDP growth. That's the offer we have from the public digital infrastructure in the country. Now moving on, the next thing, I think UPI, we all heard about this thing. This is a local innovation, now going global. Everyone speak about. We have various delegates come in and our Prime Minister take them to the market and then ensure that they are basically using the system. And that's, if I have to talk about the transaction in India, the 40% of the total transaction is the digital, and pretty much 80% of that could be the UPI. Today, 30 crore plus people are using this one, and 5 crore plus merchants are using. Collectively both, they have 118 billion transactions, and they are 46% share in the global digital transaction, and the RBI and the NICL are put together. They're ensuring that we reach beyond 30 countries. That's the power we have from the UPI side. Now, the problem, what we can see today, they're doing great job in terms of the payment performance. In fact, they're better than the global average. But when it comes to the lending, they're basically not great. They're laggard in that part. And that's precisely point when we get the funding from the promoter or any who basically willing to put the money into this one. They are putting money into the lending tech. So any company who are basically involved into lending tech, they are getting the maximum fund. And that's why you can see that over the last 3-4 years, from just 13% in the lending tech, is expected to go to 35% of the total funding. Now, if you talk about freezing the gap between the credit supply and the credit gap, I think this is a great opportunity to put money into the lending tech and start leveraging this platform. So from a payment, I think enough is done, is doing good job. But what is required and what we can see today is the money floating into the all the companies who are basically trying to do some great job in the lending sector. That's the ecosystem changing across last 3-4 years. Now moving on, if I have to basically talk about the larger picture about the capital, availability of the capital and then available for the masses or the company, I think if I have to talk about the corporate bond, corporate debt market, it grew, it significantly grew as compared to FY13. I think it's more than 3 times, 43 trillion rupees we have as of today. It's great development. But if I have to look at the right hand side chart, if I compare India with the rest of the world, our Asian peer, the Asian tiger, they are something more than 55%, we are just 16% of the GDP. That's the size typically we are looking at. They're just 60% of the GDP, which means it's not doing great stuff. Why I'm saying, because when I looked at the corporate, the bond rating, some of the data, out of 100 bond rating we have, corporate bond rating we have, something on 20% of that bond rating close to AAA, and another 30%, 31% is close to AA. Both of this basically AAA and AA constitute something around 51% of the total rating we have. But if you look at all the AAA, there is just 20% of the corporate bond. They managed to raise 81% of the total fund. And the next AA, they are 30%. They managed to raise just 15%. And then A, just 2%. And triple B can't count. And so this is the problem actually. 20% of the basically this corporate bond, they are getting appreciated. 80% is the problem. Where is the money? Because if 80% is not served, then what 2047 GDP target we are talking about? So we need this 80% to be served. That's served well. So that brings to the point that where is the basically capital coming from? We're talking about all the domestic, everything. Now that's need. We need the foreign participation in at least the government debt market, government bond, government security. Because what's happening, the majority of the funding for the government security is coming from the domestic market. The domestic market is basically funding the government, just crowding out, which means there's not enough money available to fund the local entrepreneur, local companies, local segment. There is a hesitance, there is a, I would say, hesitance in fact is the right word in terms of lending into the lower grading bond market, lower rating the company, but they need money. Otherwise, how is this going to grow? So that's the piece which means there is a potential from 16% of the GDP for the corporate bond market. We have a potential to grow 50%. We can compare the global counterpart, but we need the ecosystem where we get foreign participation in the government bond, which means money is available for the local participants, and foreign investor basically look how strong and deepening capital market we have in the country, so that at least they can fund. It's basically causal relationship. Strong capital market, domestic capital market, we have strong foreign flow. You have strong foreign flow and you have an appetite for the strong capital market. Both work together and both coexist. That's a need. Now, in order to summarize everything, I think fintech, as I said, I think second base, third base, fourth base in the country in the world. And we are doing phenomenally great job. But there's a shift happening from the investment perspective. The investors are putting money into the lending space, and basically that's the need. We need more money to fund the requirements of the companies and how we can fund. We need to have the money with us. The statistics talks about we've grown in the corporate bond market, but it's not enough to grow. We need some participation from the external side. That is, the domestic money can be utilized to fund the domestic growth. With that, I'll close my presentation. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward for the really insightful evening and the multiple panel discussions. Thank you.